Welcome students, this is part 2 of History Chapter 2, River Valley Civilization. We are going to study about Egyptian and Chinese civilizations in this part. We would now study about the Egyptian civilization. Egypt, often called the gift of the Nile, was the seat of another great Bronze Age civilization. The annual floods of the river Nile provided fertile land and water for irrigation. Hence, the Nile Valley became a seat of civilization in spite of being surrounded by deserts. The history of ancient Egypt between 3000 BC and 1000 BC can be divided into three phases: the Old Kingdom, the Middle Kingdom, and the New Kingdom. The king was regarded as a god, and his will was law. He was given the title pharaoh. He was at the top of the social ladder, followed by the priests and officials. The craftsmen and farmers came next, and the slaves occupied the lowest rung. Women could own and inherit property. Some women, like Queen Hatshepsut, even ascended the throne. Agriculture was the chief occupation of the people. The Egyptians dug canals to divert the excess floodwaters into irrigation ditches. Dogs, goats, donkeys, pigs, camels, oxen, and horses were domesticated. The Egyptians were skilled at weaving, stoneworking, ivory working, glassmaking, and carpentry. Trade seems to have been carried on by land and sea and along the Nile as well. The sun god Re was the most important Egyptian god. The moon, the floods, and other natural phenomena were also worshipped. There were some local gods too, represented by the symbols of certain animals like the crocodile, jackal, and cow. The Egyptians believed that after death, both the body and the soul continue to live in another world. Accordingly, they embalmed dead bodies, that is, applied salt and chemicals on dead bodies in order to preserve them. The bodies were then wrapped in strips of cloth and preserved in coffins. These embalmed bodies are called mummies. The coffins were buried in tombs along with the personal belongings of the dead. Fabulous riches were found in the tomb of the pharaoh Tutankhamun. Script. The Egyptian script is called hieroglyphic, meaning sacred carving. The Egyptians wrote with reed pens on the dried and flattened stems of a local plant called papyrus. The script consisted of symbols representing different ideas and sounds. Developments in science and technology. The Egyptians devised a system of counting in tens. They also learned how to calculate the areas of triangles and rectangles. The Egyptians developed a solar calendar. They observed that the interval between two floods was 365 days and divided this period into 12 months of 30 days each. The remaining 5 days were set aside for festivals. The Egyptian year, therefore, fell short of the solar year by 1/4 of a day only. The Egyptian year began when Sirius, the brightest star, appeared in the morning sky. The Egyptians also had great knowledge of surgery and human anatomy. The architecture. The most wonderful creations of the Egyptians are the pyramids, which were built as tombs of pharaohs. Each one contained a king's mummy and his precious belongings. The pyramids are made of huge blocks of stone cut to shape and fitted together. The walls of the inner chambers are decorated with beautiful paintings and hieroglyphics. The pyramids show the engineering skill of the Egyptians. The Great Pyramid at Giza, near Cairo, was built for the pharaoh Khufu. The Egyptians built temples decorated with huge statues and massive columns. The temples at Karnak and Abu Simbel are the most renowned. Let's just revise our points again. The Egyptian civilization flourished in the Nile Valley between 3000 BC and 1000 BC. It is therefore also called Gift of the Nile. Second, it is divided into three phases: the Old Kingdom, the Middle Kingdom, and the New Kingdom. The king, called Pharaoh, was regarded as a god. He was at the head of the society, followed by the priests and officials, the craftsmen and farmers, and finally the slaves. The main occupations of the Egyptians were crop cultivation, domestication of animals, and crafts and trade. The Egyptians worshipped natural phenomena. Their main god was the sun god. They believed in life after death and buried the dead after embalming their bodies. They used the hieroglyphic script and wrote on papyrus. They counted in tens. They developed a solar calendar and divided the year into 12 months. Egyptian architects excelled at building pyramids and temples. Here are some of the pictures that might give you a better idea of how Egyptian civilization was. The first picture is of pharaohs sitting. It is basically a sculpture of the pharaohs beside a tomb of Giza. The second picture is of the Sphinx. The third picture is of Sphinx again with a tomb at the back. The fourth picture shows the ancient layout of the Egyptian civilization. It actually shows the area, the river Nile, and all the cities around it. Next, we study about the Chinese civilization. The Bronze Age civilization in China developed along the river Huanghe around 1765 BC. The Huanghe is called the Sorrow of China as it often changes its course after a flood, causing a lot of damage. The Chinese civilization flourished first under the Shang dynasty and then under the Zhou dynasty. Town planning. The ancient Chinese city of Anyang in the Henan province of China was laid out on both sides of a river. Along the city streets were situated palaces, temples, and administrative buildings. Along these streets were workshops involved in making pottery, jade and porcelain goods, and bronze casting. Social life. The king held the highest position in society. He was assisted by a class of nobles who gave him military support and received land grants in return. As wars were frequent, soldiers held an important position in society. The merchants and craftsmen came next, followed by the farmers. The slaves were at the lowest level of society. Occupation. Agriculture was the chief occupation of the people. The Chinese grew millet, rice, and wheat. They had an elaborate system of irrigation. The Chinese wove linen and acquired special skills in making silk from the cocoons of silkworms. They were skilled potters and made remarkable porcelain crockery. They mastered metallurgical skills as well, especially bronze casting. Religion. The Chinese worshipped the forces of nature. Ancestor worship also prevailed in ancient China. The Chinese believed that the spirits of the dead had great powers. The dead were wrapped in matting and buried along with their precious belongings. The Chinese consulted oracles or priests to learn about the future. The oracles held tortoise shells or cattle bones over fire. When cracks appeared, they interpreted them to predict the future. Script. Initially, the Chinese script was pictographic, that is, words were represented by pictures. Later on, pictures were replaced by signs, each sign representing an idea. The script was written with artistic brush strokes on silk, bone, or bamboo strips. Developments in science and technology. The Chinese calculated the length of the year very accurately as 365 and a quarter days. They did this by combining solar and lunar calculations. They could even predict eclipses. Let's just take a quick look at the points. First, the Chinese civilization developed in the river Huanghe and flourished under the Shang and Zhou dynasty. Second, buildings and workshops producing various goods were situated along both sides of the river and lined the streets as in ancient Anyang in China. Third, the king was at the head of the society in ancient China, followed by the nobles, soldiers, merchants, craftsmen, farmers, and finally the slaves. Fourth, besides agriculture, the Chinese mastered metallurgy and the techniques of making silk and pottery. Fifth, the Chinese worshipped the forces of nature and believed in ancestor worship. Oracles predicted the future. Sixth, they used a pictographic script, but later the pictures were replaced by signs representing ideas. Seventh, the Chinese developed an accurate solar lunar calendar and could even predict the eclipses. In this slide, you'll get a better idea of how Chinese civilization was. The first picture is that of the river Huanghe and all the cities around it in the Chinese civilization. The second is that of ancient Chinese script, which we have already studied about. And the third is a bronze utensil or vessel which was used by people in ancient China. It also shows the sculpture done on it. It actually shows their artwork.